All right, man. Well, I guess kick us off then. It sounds like you've got a good little intro set up. I'm still kind of waking up anyway, so you get the ball rolling, and
All right.
we'll take off.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Uh, so basically, which this is a topic we've been talking about a lot with my friends and well, all my loved ones who like are fond of rap. So how hip hop helps people, especially like young people, cope with either losing someone or as coping after a dramatic or a traumatic life event. And I just want to like kick off with like giving small background about me, to just like let people know how I see myself in the
Sure.
larger
Yeah.
scheme. So I always used to be I mean I'm an introvert, and I also always used to be very shy. So I didn't really like find my voice until I was around 14, 15ish. And so how this really like materialized is like I kept all my emotions inside, like most of us guys do. So like, it felt to a certain degree that because I wasn't able to like vent out with like crying or anything, so if vent, I felt like there was like this constant like dark cloud over my head for
Yeah.
that time period. Yeah, and I've spoken to a few of my friends and they've had the similar issue because, you know, it's always been like that. I feel that like guys were supposed to like
Yeah,
be tough and
it certainly is a thing. I don't know. You're out in Finland, and so I don't know what the culture's like there. America has had the same thing, but it seems like in the States, that's starting to shift a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Like
There's a
that's
definite shift.
it's
Yeah,
which is nice. It is really nice
yeah,
because I've said before the people who are oh you shouldn't cry and this and that and blah blah. Blah. I feel like that's the same thing as saying you shouldn't laugh. Like no,
yeah.
it is important to experience a range of emotions and express these emotions and not just take certain ones and bottle them up or whatever. Like you got to get that stuff out, whatever it is.
Exactly, exactly. And it's just always gonna backfire at some point. So on further notice, it backfired at some point for me.
Yeah, right. Spoiler alert, huh?
Yeah. So so what happened was I was always like this. I'm turning 30 in June. So when I was 27, I was in my last year of my bachelor studies, and I was doing like my thesis, and then I was doing a full-time job.
Yeah. Ooh.
And at some point, I just like it was. I guess it was burnout, and then there was a relationship that finished. So maybe all of that combined, and I was like really down. So I went to see a professional, and I mean since then it's been like obviously easier, and I've
Yeah.
found new aspects of myself.
Hey,
And
before you keep going,
yeah.
can you ask Lulu to stop chewing on whatever
Oh, sorry.
Lulu's getting after? I mean, I don't want to,
Sorry.
I want Lulu to
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
herself too.
yeah. Let's see if that helps. Sorry.
No, that's right. That's right. Go ahead, keep going, man.
Yeah. So yeah. So I found ways to like cope and mainly stay positive after the shrink sessions in the midst of all COVID bullshit and
Can
well now
you,
it's the Ukraine.
if you're willing to, I mean, what was kind of the general message that was given to you during these sessions that you had?
Just basically like, 'cause like I said, always been like the stone, in the relationship. Like everyone can vent stuff
Oh,
for me,
sure.
and I always like just like help and shit. But like I've never had anyone to like push my shit to.
Right, right.
So basically, that was one of the key factors that I learned, and I found like it was easier to even to like my friends who I've known. I mean, I have a close friend group. We've been together for the past 17 years, and we're like really tight. So even them, we didn't really like talk about our like personal issues. Like it was maybe if it was like girlfriend related or something like that, then yeah. But if it was like internal,
Right.
and nothing. So the first step was like I basically told them that I've been depressed and shit like that, and they were just like surprised because I always I'm pretty upbeat, and I'm very good at the veil.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's unfortunately, that is one of like the prime like symptoms of depression is being able to hide it and no one ever really knows, you know? Like you hear about
True.
that all the time, like with you know, Robin Williams, right? That actor who committed
Yeah,
suicide.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
like people, yeah, when you get to that point where it's really happening, I mean, well, I don't know. It seems like it goes one of two ways. But the people who can really bury it, yeah, you don't even realize, you don't even know, because they're just kind of going through and everything seems fine, and all of a sudden, like you say, one day you find out, like, and then the people are like, what do you mean you're depressed? You're fine. Like you seem totally fine.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
no,
Exactly.
I'm just hiding all this shit.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, Anthony Bourdain and Mac Miller are the first ones that come to my
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah, like both of them were just like lovely, lovely dudes to everyone else, but they had their demons.
Yeah, and you know Anthony Bourdain's another interesting one because I didn't really watch him too often, but my wife loves to cook and she loved his show and watching him. And you know, as an outsider, you would think, wow, what an amazing life! You travel the world and you try out all these
Mm,
different foods and you talk about your passion and blah blah blah. And so to think somebody in that situation could also be depressed, it's kind of
yeah,
mind blowing in a way, you know?
yeah, yeah. But what can you do? It happens to everyone. Everyone.
Yeah, and but I think that's also, I don't know. I feel like the mind blowing portion kind of like blows over that part, like what you just said. It can happen to
Mm,
anyone, and I think one of the best things about, you know, I like that the world in general. Well, I don't know about the world, but you know, the U.S. and so on. They're trying to bring light to this. Is it can happen to anyone. It doesn't. It's
mm,
not like, oh, it's not like if you're depressed, it's you and you're broken and you've got like, no, 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 no. It can happen to anyone, anywhere at any
yeah.
time. So I think that's something that it's hard to get into your headspace because it's, especially when it seems like somebody's happy and you look at their
Mm,
life and they're living a good life. And well, there's no way they could be depressed, but that's not true.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um. Yeah. Sorry, I
No,
lost
that's
my
right.
track of
I
thought.
see this much talking about like we just take off and go.
No, but this is great. This is great. Uh, so yeah, yeah. Even before I found myself at the shrink's office, there were like plenty of different songs that helped me, and because I grew up with hip hop, it's maybe that's what one of the reasons why they were always like rap songs, but they helped me like alleviate the sadness within, more
Hmm.
than just like shift my perspective a bit. That I like saw the like bigger bigger things in life instead of just like wallowing in the small details, so to speak. Um, it started like with the with I mean this might make you laugh, but it started with the small gestures, like just pouring liquor for someone who
Oh
died.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, like it was all always around like since the 90s, maybe even like late 80s in the hip hop videos,
Yeah.
and pouring liquor for dead homies or whatever. And I mean, I know there's this like small bit of corniness, like when I do it in like the other side of the world, in my view, anyway. But but I didn't like think about it being like just milking on culture or anything like that. It was just like it felt natural in a way, you
You
know.
know, the first thing I think of, the first thing that went through my mind is it's a sort of ritual in a way. But
Yeah,
then I thought, you know what it is? It's a form of expression. And if you're in a
yeah,
situation where you feel like you can't express yourself regarding a specific feeling, but then you can just do something that expresses that in some way, even though that's just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of expression, it
mm,
is an expression and it is a way of getting that out of your system. So
true.
I think there's a lot of validity there, honestly. I don't think it's
Yeah,
cheesy or corny or anything. I think, yeah, no shit. You found a way so
yeah.
simple, so quick to just express something.
Mm. It could be a part that I mean there could be a factor that I hate funerals, like especially like the super sad ones.
Yeah.
I mean all funerals are sad. I'm not I'm not saying that, but I mean like some funerals are more like about celebrating one's life than just mourning.
Right. Right.
So in a way, like reminiscing about the good times and just, you know, we're drinking with friends and then we're just, yeah, like rest in peace to whoever.
Yeah.
It felt more like, you know, positive in a way.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and it's perfectly natural to miss people and wish they were there and all that stuff. Yeah. But it is, you're right. It's a positive thing. And in a way, it, you know, especially with if you're with friends, it's almost like you get to conjure their spirit just a little bit. You know, everyone's thinking about that person, and then everyone takes a moment to go, yeah, I miss that person, and they're here.
Yeah. And then there was the fact that I don't know, it was basically like, you know, sealing the letter in a way. Like now I've dealt with this.
Okay.
You do the ritual.
Yeah.
Because you're not putting the body in the casket or anything like that. You don't do that part, so you don't have that that kind of ritual, like,
right?
And your friendship in a way. So it for me or for some of my friends, that was the bit that came.
Yeah, interesting, man. Huh?
Yeah, but anyhow. And yeah, now I want to go to the reasons why I think rap, like considering all the genres of music, like why I think that especially helps like younger kids. These are just obviously my opinions.
Of course, no. share your songs, man. I mean, this is cool. What's neat about this is people might not jive with the song, but some people might go, "Oh man, you know, I haven't really listened to that song." You know, there's sometimes for whatever reason they slip through the cracks, or they don't. You know, a person can just not have a connection with the song, but then when they hear a story that relates to it, and then they go back and listen to it again, there's something else there to hear.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, well, the first one I had was like considering all the rap songs. What are they generally like? What was the theme? Like if it's not a story song or homage or something, it's usually like some kind of, you know, glamorous bravado.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Like you just put it in like smoothly, but
yeah,
it's bravado. So of a successful life. So when these individuals like speak about their bad days or their trauma or whatever, it felt to me that it was easier to like digest the message, since like at least how I perceived rappers when I was younger, they are the types of people who always make it seem that every day is like nothing but a bliss, like everything is good. We're popping bottles and you know, we have all the women and we have all the money and so on.
Yeah.
So it felt like the music is always sad, because I mean, granted, I've had my fair share of well, I don't want to go emo, but like for the lack of a better term.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, like, man, look, I mean, like on one hand, earlier I wanted to kind of, I was going to pry a little bit, but I don't, you know, one thing that's tricky about this is I don't want people to be uncomfortable, because, you know, we're going to post this on YouTube and this is personal stuff. And so you share what you feel comfortable sharing. But at the same time, like, I have fully gone through the emo stage and being sad and all that kind of stuff. So don't feel embarrassed or anything like that. My cat's going nuts all of a sudden.
That's fine.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
But no, man, like getting into it again. And really, I mean, this is kind of it, right? This is the whole crux of what you want to talk about, of expressing these emotions and feeling comfortable to do so, because this has always been the battle, right? As guys, we're not supposed to talk about that. We're not supposed to say we were sad or depressed or feeling emo or whatever, because it's embarrassing or shameful or whatever. And it's funny because you and I can both sit here and acknowledge that and go, yep, it shouldn't be that way. But then when it's time to actually talk about it, there it is. You know, there's that hesitancy and that like, I don't know what I should say because people will make fun of me or whatever. Like, it's weird. Like, you can be fully aware of it and still push back, you know?
Yeah, because it's so like, how do I say it? Like ingrained.
Yeah.
In your, like, since childhood.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is.
I don't understand like how it just, the idea is, I mean, I already said it, but it's having full awareness of it, but then not being able to do the thing. Strange, man.
No point. Uh,
Anyway, so you were
yeah,
going through
yeah,
your emo phase.
yeah. I had my emo phase. It wasn't like an emo rock phase or emo
Yeah.
pop phase. It
You
was
weren't putting on eyeliner and wearing black clothes or anything like that?
no, no,
Oh, okay.
no, nothing. I can honestly admit I didn't do that shit. But I listened to some pretty dark songs, and I wrote a bit, and I watched a lot of dark movies, depressing movies, and shit like that. Yeah. But anyway,
no, I was thinking about that too. When I was in the Navy, man, I was having a hard time. Like it just sucked. I was miserable. I wasn't really depressed. I was miserable. And I still remember putting on a track. There's a track by Aphex Twin. I can't remember the name of it because it's a really strange name. But it's not even really a song. It's just a bunch of really dark sounds. And I remember sitting in berthing. It's like 2:00 in the morning. And when you're on the ship at night, all the lights get switched off, but then there's like these red lights. So you can still kind of see, but it's dark enough to sleep. And I remember just sitting there on the floor, listening to that song over and over and over again. And just, it's strange because on one hand, it would seem like, oh, you know, wallowing in that feeling. But I don't really feel that's the case. I tend to think of it more in terms of like trying to digest it. You know, it's like this emotional digestion that needs to happen because I compare it to if you get sick and sometimes you feel like you're going to throw up and, you know, you go over and you're by the toilet or whatever and it's like, oh, I'm going to throw up. But then sometimes it just passes. I feel like it's that for me anyway. That's for me.
Oh.
Like if I've got this thing going on, if I just sit in this dark place and just try and digest it for a while, then maybe those feelings kind of go away a little bit.
Sometimes that's good, but sometimes you need to throw up.
Sometimes you need to throw up. Sometimes you need to throw up. And then that
emotionally.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the question is how do you do that? You know, especially if you feel like you're a person where I don't have an outlet. I can't express myself to other people. They all throw up on me. You know, who do I throw up on? Who do I dump out to? That's hard. It's hard. No, I know.
Yeah,
It's gross analogy. I know. I tried to like breeze right over that. But it's.
I just started thinking about it.
It's a thing. Like I remember you had mentioned something, you know, kind of briefly about the pandemic and all that bullshit. I remember when it was 2020, the election cycle was happening and the pandemic was in full swing. And all this. I told my wife, you can't talk to me about like the stuff at work that's been bugging you because I can't fucking take it anymore. Like, and it wasn't that it was upsetting me. It was just my level of concern and the things I was stressed out about were so shifted over onto things like pandemic and fucking countrywide riots if Trump won and all this other shit. Like, no, I don't care that the person you work with was upset that, you know, you saved a file, a different title, or I don't care. Like, I just don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, my kettle is full. Like I can't.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for telling her that, but at the same time, it was true. It was true. Like, please call your sister, call your mom, complain to them. I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's actually a funny story, just to sidetrack a little bit more. That's basically, the pandemic is the reason why I found your channels.
Oh.
Not because of, like, I don't think you were up when that started.
Yeah, I started, like, about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, when the pandemic started, you know, obviously everyone was at home. So I started, like, going through this rabbit hole of, like, reaction.
Oh, yeah,
videos
okay.
on YouTube.
Sure.
It was weird. Like, at first I was like, who the hell watches these things?
I know. There's something cool about watching people hear stuff for the first time, if it's authentic. Sometimes I watch some and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, first I started listening to people listening to some of my favorite songs or watching my favorite episodes of some series I like.
Yeah.
And then it was just, at some point it went like Americans reacting to football soccer highlights.
Yeah.
It was mad. And I don't think that would have ever happened without the pandemic because like my YouTube was on like 24/7. So then it just started to
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think the first video I saw from you was like because I've used to watch reactions to Illmatic because that's one of my favorite albums. So I think that's the first one I saw, and I was like, yeah, this guy's cool. So
Yeah, I wish, Illmatic, that one surprisingly still gets a lot of traction, and I think it's just because it's so highly regarded, and I kind of want to go back and watch my own reaction just because I have grown personally and musically so much since that album, and every now and then I go back and listen to it, and I go, oh yeah, like every time I go back and listen to it, which is probably, I don't know, every 6-8 weeks, something like that, it just sounds better and better and better. And I'm like, okay, I'm really starting to understand why people regard this one so much, because it's just really good.
Yeah. I mean, he has other good albums. I think It Was Written is like just a notch lower than Illmatic.
That's what I want to check out too. And then I guess some of his most recent stuff has been really good.
Yeah, King's Disease 1 and 2, especially like number 2. I really like.
Yeah,
it's weird that it got a Grammy snub, but Grammys are whatever.
I hate the Grammys. I don't care about the Grammys. I don't care about any awards at all. I mean, I understand some people do, but what cracks me up with Grammys or just awards in general is it seems like the fans are like, okay, like so and so, is nominated and they're gonna win because they're the best, and then if they win, then the fans are like, yeah, that's right, because they're the best. That was the best, whatever, actor, movie, album, whatever. But then if they lose, they just go, well, fuck these guys. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what? Well, then why are you happy when they win? Like, if they don't know what they're talking about from last year because the right person didn't win, why are you now saying, yay, they know what they're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pickle because, like, if I was an artist, and considering Grammys, they're like you kind of want your name associated to it at a certain degree. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I understand that side, but then again, if they've been making, especially like in the hip hop category, they've been making some shocking decisions. So
at least Tyler got his. He deserves that one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go back to Tyler.
Yeah, that was a great album.
Yeah. I really like the new ones, even though, like, well, okay, I'll save it to the song because it was yeah. Okay, I'll save it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll try and get back on track then, because you were going to talk about some of the tracks that were helping you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, forgot all about that.
Oh yeah. This is how it goes.
So, the first one that really like made me think about everything about life in a certain way, different perspective, so to say, was MF Grimm's "Scars and Memories." He's a very underground.
Yeah, I don't know that one at all. Yeah. So what about that song like really clicked with you then?
It was well, the song is basically after him and his brother were shot. He was shot like maybe 7 times, I think. His brother died. Grimm was paralyzed below his waist.
Ooh.
And he ended up in a coma and then in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So basically, I think this song is basically like, is it the 5 stages of grief in a way?
Okay.
So first he just ponders like why everything happened and I don't even want to live anymore and how can I cope after first losing my brother and then the legs and then I think it's the second verse he basically talks to his brother who's in heaven, I think. I hope so.
Yeah.
So who basically encourages him to just like continue his work with music. And in the last verse, he gives his brother a list of questions to ask, to take to God about all the like inequalities throughout the human history and why these horrible things keep happening and somehow the song, I feel at least, the song ends in like a positive note. So,
well,
this is a song.
Do you know the lyrics, sorry. Or how exactly does it end on the positive note? Like, what does he say?
His brother says, like, first he gives him the questions, and his brother is like, says something that nothing can like separate love. Just like remember that. He just like gives this small guidance, and then there's the beat takes like this not so not so down
Oh.
down sound effects. So I don't know. To me, it felt like because I'm the type of person who always thinks about why instead of like
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like gave me a closure in a way. But like even if I don't understand something or there's no answers that I can find to a certain topic or certain disagreement, and there's like the bigger issues that if I
Yeah.
just like go a bit further of the elephant, is that the saying? Yeah, and then I see the whole picture.
Right.
In a way, that made me feel, uh, yeah, that song helped me in sometimes. And
Yeah.
just to give you a small like hip hop lore, because I love lore, because I'm a nerd inside. So, so MF Grimm is basically the one who helped MF Doom create his everything, like his character
I was
and the
wondering.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was wondering who came first.
yeah, and he's the first Doom album, like not the one before he was, sorry, after he was MF Doom. The first what's it called, Operation Doomsday. Yeah, that came out. I mean, he made that while MF Grimm was in prison, and he used to like sleep on his couch.
No shit.
Yeah, so he used all of his like vinyl collection to create all the songs
Oh
and use the
wow.
samples.
Oh wow.
So just some pointless hip hop lore for you.
Well, and I think another connection too there. I don't know, when MF Grimm's brother died in
Mm.
relation to, but like MF Doom, his brother
Yeah,
died early, right?
yeah, yeah,
So there's a connection there between them as well.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is, obviously, because I wasn't there, I'm not gonna get like this is concrete evidence.
Sure.
Like, trust me. So there's been some like some news flashes that MF Doom did MF Grimm quite dirty actually.
Oh, really?
But yeah, but because I don't know, so I'm
Yeah.
not gonna let that like
Sure.
hinder my view of MF Doom and everything he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an underground song. It's very underground. I think it was published around 2005, but it was made in like the early 90s.
Oh
Like that was
wow.
the shooting and everything.
That's crazy. Huh. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to
And
check that one out for sure.
yeah, it's not like I don't know if you like it like the musical wise, but it's the lyrics are very good.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It sounds very
Yeah,
interesting.
and true stories always grip you the most.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of the paradox too, right? Because this has come up a couple times before where artists can express themselves so well when there's all this turmoil in their life. And so like yay, yay turmoil.
Yeah,
Yay, you
it's
get to
anonymous.
suffer so we can hear good music. And then but that in itself was obviously a terrible thing.
Mm.
I keep thinking back to, I think it was like the third episode with Nick, and talking about how people online were saying they were all excited because Frank Ocean's brother had died and now they're going to get great music because
Oh,
of it. It's like, that's just the most awful fucking thing you can say,
yeah,
man.
that's so selfish, man.
It really is. And honestly, that would
Yeah,
make me, if I was an artist or music, I would just quit. Like, screw you
yeah,
guys. You're not
exactly.
feeding
Like
off of me anymore. We're done.
you're not a fan. You're just like a selfish cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah. But then you take the flip side of it, and yeah, I mean, it makes incredible music. There was something somebody sent me. It was, I guess it's a documentary about these two brothers. I think they play country music or something like that. But Rick Rubin, who's legendary producer for,
Yeah,
he was involved with their album, and they had written this song, and it was just like heart wrenching and all this other stuff. And they get done recording it, and I think it was a YouTube clip or something. Anyway, you can tell everybody's like emotionally wiped out from it. And then Rick Rubin walks in and goes, "Okay, what's next?" As if nothing has happened, And it's just kind of this interesting contrast between emotional expression and creating music, and how they're one and the same, but they're obviously very, very different things at the same
yeah,
time.
exactly. You need to read the room a bit.
Yeah, but then you
Yeah,
wonder with somebody like Rick Rubin and all the people he's worked with and all of the songs that he has heard, all of the heartbreak the gut
Yeah, he's seen
wrenching.
some shit. Yeah.
And he probably just goes, yeah, this is it. This is part of the process. This is how we create these wonderful stories. So what's next? It's just like,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds rough, but it makes sense. Like,
yeah. And I remember hearing
'cause-
too, there's another story. I can't remember the name of the song. It's a rock song. It's kind of an older one, but it opens up with this guy having this epic scream. I want to say it was like Judas Priest or something like that. I can't remember. But the guy kept telling him, no, that wasn't it. Do it over. No, that wasn't it. Like 20, 30, 40 takes or some shit like that. Basically driving the singer crazy, right? Just getting him so pissed off so that when they did the recording, he just screams. And like, okay.
he was so pissed.
Yeah, that was it. That was the one.
It's authentic. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. It makes me think about the movie. What's the movie about the jazz jazz drummer? Whiplash.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
There's I can't remember the guy's name, but he was Schillinger in Oz, and it was J. Jonah Jameson in the first Spider-Man trilogy.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Actor who always looks, intimidating.
Yeah, he does have that look to him. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's just I'm not gonna spoil. Just the movie is
Okay.
phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Whiplash. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So, what was another song then that you used to kind of work through these things?
Well, we were talking about Tyler, so we can
Oh
jump
yeah.
into
Yeah, sure.
Tyler now. So in his debut album, Bastard,
Which
like
of
the
course
first track-
is the only one I have not listened to. Of course.
yeah, but then again, like I don't know if you. I mean, maybe you should.
I
Just
should
to
check
give you
it
a
out.
contrast. Yeah, because it's. I'm not gonna say it was a. At the time, it was a great album, but it was very angry album. And like to connect to the topic we were having earlier, like it was so weird because that's the first Tyler I met, but I heard.
Yeah.
So to see him now with Igor and everything else, it's so weird. But I'm like happy for him because he could have gone a very dark route.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
what a positive transformation. And here's like an example of he was able to throw up, to use the nasty analogy. But he was able to use his music to get this stuff out, and because he was able to get it out, it seems like he got better,
Yeah, he really did. I mean, who am I to say? Because I'm not a close friend. But
obviously,
it seems-
yeah. We don't know him very well. Obviously, we don't we don't talk much anymore. But I mean, we're outsiders, sure. But he's got this music, and he's expressing himself in a certain way, and you can hear it in the sounds. The way he presents the music, his live shows, it seems like he's just getting healthier and healthier as he goes on.
Yeah, but the character is the same. That's what I love about him.
Yeah, he really is.
He's always been a character.
Yeah.
You could hear it even in Bastard, because if I could just go to the song.
Yeah.
When I first heard it, like I had really like turbulent relationship with my father at that point. It was like at an all-time high. I think this was, if I can remember correctly, I was around 17, 18, something like that.
Okay.
And basically in the first track, he talks to a shrink, and Tyler just fucking vents. Like he just like lets everything, vomits everything, basically.
Yeah.
So he's cussing his dad and basically everyone else as well with the super dark like simple piano loop playing on the background.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I think it's not the best song of the album if I consider it like objectively, but that's the one who left like the most biggest mark in me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's something powerful in that simplicity, though, where it's just a person raging and then a piano. Like there's a power there. It's hard to understand or explain why, but it's certainly there.
In a way, it's like a mix of spoken word / speech, to whatever, galvanize the troops
Yeah.
in your head or whatever.
Yeah. Well, then sometimes too, there's just the mechanic of you've got this idea or this thing, but you just don't really know how to express it or verbalize it, and then somebody comes along and just says it, and you're like, yeah,
That's
that
what I meant.
that's what I've been trying to say, yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. So it was because of that. It was very cathartic, and this album, because of that reason, not just because of this song, but maybe because of all the emotional connections I have with it, it's my favorite Tyler album. Even when I realize it's not by his best by any means.
Yeah, but you know that there's something powerful about that too, man. Like there's a couple songs that I go, yeah, I don't listen to these much anymore, or maybe the band has made music that's way better now, but because it's got that personal connection, it'll always exist in that special spot.
You always remember it fondly.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I think this album, and especially this song, it just perfectly like encapsulates, that teenage anger about. Oh, sometimes teenage anger can just be that. There's not a good reason for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
No, it's true. I mean, when you were talking about that, how you were having strains with your dad, and you were that age, I I don't want to like pick a side or anything like that, but I wonder, yeah, what that age, how much that plays into it, because who we are at that age. You're not an adult yet, but everyone's treating you like an adult, and they're giving you adult expectations. But then they also turn around and treat you like a kid because you're not, you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, it's this weird existence period because there's all these expectations, but then also people don't let you just live your own life at the same time,
yeah.
It's a very strange combination of things.
Yes. So I think, yeah, it played a large part in my evaluation of this album and how it helped me. Like the teenager part.
Yeah.
But like at that moment, you were a teenager once, so
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that piss you off, and it seems like some issues, like when you're a kid, there's like romanticized view about a lot of things that concern adulthood or relationships or whatever. And when you're a teenager, I think that's when the images start to crack, and then you see like you don't see the whole picture, but you see like that it's not as rosy as you thought.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yeah.
I remember
and
one of the big lies that I believed at the time, because I did not enjoy high school. I hated high school. I was bored. I didn't like the people who loved high school because I thought, what the hell's wrong with you? But I remember thinking in high school, I can't wait to get out of here because then I don't have to deal with people like this anymore. And I was so wrong. Like those people also get out of high school and just scatter across the world, and you interact with them on a daily basis. And so this idea of at least I'll finally be around adults who, just act like adults. No, no, not at all.
No. Yeah. How wrong were we?
Oh man.
Yeah. So yeah, this song always made me feel like, made me think about like how I could have turned in a way, because
Sure.
when I brought how he turned up to like make Igor and stuff like that, in a way, like if I never would have like learned how to grow from that part, like I probably would have been way different, and not in a positive way.
Yeah. And that's kind of something I haven't considered until just now when you said that. Like, depending on an artist and where they're at in their career and the music that they've made, and when you find their music and which music it is, you can almost use them as a roadmap to follow.
Yeah.
To kind of heal in your own way. Like Tyler would be a great example of that, like following him through his growth and almost using his music as just your own like therapy session. Not entirely a therapy session, but like a several step program. You start with,
Yeah.
you kind of advance through these emotions.
Yeah, and especially like considering like a lot of rappers are relatively young when they blow out or
Yeah.
step into the scene. So, I mean, depending on what kind of artists are we talking about, if they have longevity, you can grow with them. Sometimes, you know, it can take a dark turn,
Yeah.
but usually usually it's just good growth.
I was thinking of Kid Cudi just now when you were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, because he could have gone a darker path as
Well,
well.
and he did go pretty dark for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, he did,
Yeah.
but even
Yeah.
darker, I think.
But
Yeah.
then he came out of it. So that's an interesting ride too. And and there is I always have like a slight worry when because I'll talk about that and other people talked about it where yeah, I'm listening to dark stuff and I'm listening to these things even though I'm in this mood. And sometimes that isn't the key. Some people they do go darker and it takes a bad turn and
Yeah.
so I always have that fear there. Cuz sometimes yeah, it just once that momentum gets going, then you really get going to a dark spot.
It is true, but I think it depends on the individual because I think some people, considering even if you watch like a movie or a series of some individual going through like hell basically, but you see like the perseverance and the like they're still striving to correct that and become a good person and not just like take that all in and just turn into an asshole or do something worse. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it depends. It depends. For me, I think it was more on the positive note. I still watch some, dark stuff from time to time. And I'm not gonna say like dark stuff like is anything that the general public would, frown upon. I mean,
Sure,
like
sure.
I'm not the one who watches reality TV or like sitcoms with laugh tracks, stuff like that. I mean,
Right. Yeah. You know,
so darker in that sense. Yeah.
yeah. And it's interesting how, because especially with a movie, it's not like you really, with music, it can kind of integrate into your life a little bit. You can listen to it while you're doing some stuff or whatever. Like it can kind of fold in. But with the movie, you're more just sitting there observing and watching, and it's strange
And that's
how.
why. Yeah,
Go ahead. Go
I think
ahead.
series are better
Why is that? Why do you think that?
because it's just like you spend more time with the characters. Because
Oh,
movie has to do it like very very well to make you like really connect with the character.
yeah.
Like, just because of the limited screen time.
I agree with that. I think that's why. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that like to hate on the Marvel movies, but Marvel did such a great job with that whole arc because, yeah, you've just got movie upon movie to develop these characters and care about them a little bit more. And
I
yeah,
love Marvel movies.
I do too. I used to not like them, but I just got over it. It's for fun.
Yeah.
Stop being so nitpicky. It's just fun.
Yeah. I mean, nerds are something else. Like we just complain.
But I was gonna say with movies or even a series though, a TV series, you're not like really fully engaged like you are with music. Like it's a different experience. But
It is.
but you can still have some sort of maybe it is more of a digestion, like I was saying before, and not so much an expression or a processing thing, but just it's almost like I'm gonna live in this person's world for a couple hours, and then I'll step back into mine.
Yeah, but music basically, you like you said, you ingest it. So then, whatever happens inside here,
Yeah.
and then you like vent it out at some point.
Well, and there's something special about music where even if the song is really specific, you can still make it apply to you. You can still have it integrate into your experiences. Whereas a movie, there's been times with movies where I kind of forget where I was, especially with a theater. You go to a theater and that's all that's in front of you, the screen and the sound, all that stuff. Go through a movie and watch a movie like the most recent Spider-Man movie. I had the experience, No Way Home. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought that was great.
Same.
But I remember coming out of the theater going, oh, shit, right, okay. Now I'm me again. I'm going to live my life again. Like I got teleported into that. And so that is a different experience. And I guess through that, you can kind of live that character's life a little bit. And then in doing that, it kind of helps you process your own shit sometimes.
It helps. It helps. I mean, I love Marvel. Everything about it. And to be fair, like when the first Iron Man came out, I would never guess they would make what 20
Oh my God.
20 plus anyway
Right.
movies.
Right.
So it's been a ride.
It has been a hell of a ride. A hell of a ride. You know, speaking of the most recent one, the Spider-Man one, I assume everybody's seen it.
The better.
So I'm not even going to give a spoiler warning. If you haven't watched that movie yet, like it's out on
It's on
Blu-ray.
you.
Yeah. Anyway, um, you know, when everything happens with Aunt May and that scene, that fight,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. But then I was like, oh, okay. I figured I'd be a crying mess at that part. And it was, you know, it was emotional, but I was okay. And then the movie kind of goes on. What really hit me was later when Peter's on the roof by himself,
How to kill.
and then MJ and the other guys show up, and I was like, oh shit, because like
Oh,
I had gotten over that. Like I was like, okay, there
yeah.
was the sad part. We're moving on. No, that was the sad part where he's just up there crying, and they show up and hold him.
For me, it was even later, like when he tried to kill Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like that, because that was like, I don't know. It made me feel like, yeah, if no one would have stopped him, like how would he become? Like how what would
yeah.
Peter Parker be after that?
Yeah, that was a really emotional scene too. Yeah, you're right. I've kind of forgotten about the end. The end. But it is.
I love Willem Dafoe. Sorry.
He's good. He's good,
He's
man.
so good.
He was good. Yeah, it's a good movie. I keep waiting. I don't want to buy it at full price. I keep waiting for it to go on sale.
Same.
But I want to
Same.
watch it again, man. I want to watch that one again. Yeah. You mentioned series. What are some of the series that you watch that help you get through some of this stuff?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought my headphones turned off.
Yeah, I heard something, but I
Um,
don't know what it was.
yeah. One of my favorite series of all time is The Wire.
Oh, I've heard of that, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I think I usually watch it around at least once a year.
Oh, okay,
It's only
cool.
5 seasons. That's one. There's just so many layers. Like we would need another discussion just for that. So I'm not gonna go into all the
Sure.
details. But it's so real. Like most of the stuff actually are either based on real characters, real events.
Oh,
So
okay,
like
cool.
most of that shit is actually like true. There's some things they might tweak a bit. But for example, because it was made by an ex-cop and an ex-journalist, so it's
Oh,
real.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it starts slow, but like I think it took me for about 2 3 episodes, and then I was like, I'm so into this. That's one. Then
And
there's this.
and
That's right.
what was it about it, that series, that like was helping you kind of process some of these things that you were dealing with?
Uh, Basically, like just relativity,
Oh, okay.
because you see a lot of people, and it's about Baltimore situation, all the ghettos in Baltimore and the police force, and like it changes every season, but the ghetto is a recurring theme.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, this actually is what was one of my points and why I think rap helps. It's whether like when I had to, because I used to play football, like that was my life, and when I turned 17, I had a big injury, so I had to just like it was career ending, so I had to
Oh,
stop.
shit. Yeah, and that's hard to deal with.
It was because especially like that's if all your dreams and aspirations are like attached to that.
Sure. Well, and that,
Yeah,
and I mean, that's a hell of an outlet. That's a hell of an outlet.
yeah,
My
yeah,
brother-in-law used to play football in high school, and he would talk about how he'd have this shit bothering him, and then he played linebacker. He'd go put on all his gear and just smash people. And he
yeah,
said he just
exactly.
felt amazing afterward because it let him just
Yeah,
get this stuff out.
yeah. So in a way, because I was after that, that was probably one of the first times I was like in a dark place because I didn't know what the hell should I do now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. And
but
then you're
then like
talking about with your dad too. You're straying with your dad around the
yeah,
same time.
yeah, exactly. So through music, through series, it just made me like readjust, or sorry, like realize that even if I can't do this for a living, uh, it's quite like a small problem per se. It's considering some people like you're so much more privileged to do anything you want. Like even if you can't do that one thing you wanted, like just come on.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, it basically took me out of the sorrow state, and then I just started to think like, what else am I interested in?
Yeah. So you basically, it was able to let you see more opportunity in your life than you initially saw.
Yeah, and see like how well off I am, even if I can't do that one thing.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
this is something I sometimes I struggle with this idea because, like, on one hand, I think everything that you said is great and it is positive. But on the other hand, too, I worry sometimes of the idea of, okay, I have these problems and I'm dealing with this and this is a struggle for me. But then I'm going to listen to, a rap album, or I'm going to watch some documentary about these people and their lives and how terrible they are. And I worry that sometimes people will go, oh, well, I can't complain because they have it worse, which is relatively speaking a true thing. But at the same time, it doesn't now mean that your own emotions are now invalid. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree.
There's a fine line that exists there between, okay, I have stuff that I'm struggling with, and it is a struggle for me. And it's kind of regardless if that struggle is trivial to somebody else's struggles or not, because it's still real. It's still there.
Yeah.
You still got to process through it. But it's cool because what you said is more of the flip side of it, of
Yeah.
I see my problems, but what I see now, like you're saying, if I zoom out, if I step back, what was this big is now this big, and I'm realizing more opportunity because of it.
Yeah. But it's not like I don't acknowledge my struggles. It's more like
Right. Yes,
put
exactly.
them in a new lens. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's so key. You got to still acknowledge it. You still got to process it. But if you can change the perspective a little bit, then that helps a lot.
Yeah. So that was a big part. I'm trying to remember where we got cut off.
I told you. It's nice
Yeah.
that you have stuff written down, but we're going to go all over the place.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the Tyler album.
Oh, yeah. Bastard. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think we narrowed that. I mean, we went through that.
Yeah.
I think you understood very well, like what I was going through at that point, and why I think the Tyler album, especially that song, like, I think a lot of teenagers might get help from that, especially.
Yeah.
But then, this actually, like, this one song is about from the J. Cole album, For Your Eyes Only. I don't know if that's in your plans.
It is in the plans, but I haven't heard it yet. Yeah, not yet.
Okay, well, I'm trying to, like, I don't want to spoil everything.
Yeah, sure.
But For Your Eyes Only is basically for the title of the album is, in a way, it's like a letter to his best friend's daughter.
Okay.
So it's For Your Eyes Only.
Okay.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird because it's public.
Right.
But
yeah.
it's For Your Eyes Only.
But I mean, it's got to have some sort of origin, and so there's the origin right there.
Yeah. But the last song of the album, that was my favorite one of the album, and that was the one that just, like, made me vomit.
Oh, good,
Like,
good.
Emotionally, like,
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
The album came on that day when my grandma died, and we were, like, very close.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was doing my bachelor's at that point. I had an exam, and as soon as I finished the exam, my mom calls. I'm like, fuck. So,
Yeah.
so then after I had another lecture after that, I was so messed up in my head at that point. And then I drive straight from my school to my work, and I'm just, like, crying inside at that point. So, because I'm on a till. I'm sorry, I register.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm just,
Sure.
like, everyone just comes there and, hey, how you doing? I'm like fucking dying inside.
Yeah.
But,
Right. I'm dying. How are you?
yeah. So that I think that's the most emotional song. Like, maybe even, like, generally considered the most emotional song of the album.
Okay.
I won't go into too much detail because I want you to experience,
Sure.
like, it beforehand. But because of maybe that connection with the album, like, when it came out and everything, like, every time I need to, like, this is my go-to album if I feel like I might need to vent out a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially this song, but the whole album in itself, it's just like I don't know why, but because every time maybe it's because of I have that grandma connection to the album.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what it
Yeah,
is, man. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to
yeah,
forever be tied. You know, there are times when, like my wife's aunt recently passed, and when we left, I didn't turn on any music. Because I know
yeah,
if you get in the car and you start driving, you put on music, whatever I play is going to be associated with that moment in time. And so that there are times, because I'm always listening to music, but there are times where I will intentionally not turn on music, because it's not that I don't want the music to be tied to it necessarily, but sometimes I don't want to, ruin the song in a sense, like I want the song to just be what it is and not have this extra meaning associated to it.
yeah. I totally agree with that. And I think one part, because like I said, it was basically like a letter to his best friend's daughter. So it felt to me, because I felt like I had a lot of things I wanted to like still talk about with my grandma that I didn't have time to say.
Yeah.
And a little bit of background of this, because she had a tumor in her spine. So what happened was like she slowly started to lose the ability to walk.
Yeah.
So she just went downhill like through the years before she passed away. So and the worse it got, the less I went to like see her, because she lived in the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the reasons, because I felt like I didn't give her at the time like enough time that I should have before she passed away.
Yeah. I went through the same thing with my grandparents. I really did. And
Yeah.
it's not something I'm proud of, it's not something I even like to talk about, just because I feel awful. I feel awful. But for whatever reason, there are some of us who, yeah, it's just hard. It's just really, really hard.
Yeah. If you see some of your loved ones that you basically don't want to like remember them in that state.
Yeah.
So you try
Yeah.
to like avoid it to a
Yeah.
certain degree,
Yeah.
which is, and again, it might be a bit selfish, but yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I don't know how to process that, because I think on one hand you could say, yeah, you're being selfish. You should be there for your loved ones, and and all that other stuff. But on the other hand, with my parents, their memories were going, or my grandparents, I mean,
oh, okay,
both of them, their memories were kind of going and stuff. And so, like my dad would tell me, oh yeah, we went and saw her today and this and that, and she actually remembered who I was today, rather than thinking I was your uncle or whoever, right?
Yeah.
And in that sense, maybe I just made an excuse for myself, who knows? But it's like, well, if I go now, is she even going to know who I am? And if she doesn't know who I am, does it really matter if I go or not? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was something I wrestled with. Go ahead, man.
That was really like similar, because my grandma used, like, obviously she had to take a lot of meds when her conditioning got worse.
Yeah.
So every time I went there, she was basically just like sleeping, and she had this motorized bed that she had to use like when she needed to like eat or something. So basically every time I went there, we were just like, I was chilling in the same room. We might talk for a few minutes, and then she falls asleep, and then that's basically the entire day.
Yeah.
I bring her food. So it was really tough to go there, because I didn't want to remember her just like that, because I had all these wonderful memories of her. So it felt like, I don't know, maybe it was a bit selfish, but in a way, like now that I've processed it, it doesn't feel as bad anymore.
Well, and
at that point, yeah, it was horrible.
it was hard. Yeah. But the other thing too is like, well, it's all said and done now, and if you want to kick yourself over it, you can, but it's not going to accomplish anything,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think too, I would argue against people who say, oh, that is selfish and you should have done this and that. It's easy to forget what you just talked about, that kind of experience. Like, it's easy to be on the outside and go, well, no, you need to go see them and spend time with them. But they're just passed out. Like, it's not an interaction. It isn't an experience.
Exactly.
There's nothing happening there. And so I think it's easy to forget that for people on the outside. And yeah, it's tough, man. It is just tough. But, at the same time, there is a sense of preserving the memory too, kind of like what you're talking about, where like, okay, we got some guilt, maybe maybe I wish I would have done something a little different, but at the same time, my memories are this. My memories are not that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
And
know,
even
all I was gonna say was, you know, for them, no matter what happens, you know, for them at the end, I have to assume and believe that they would want me to remember them in the better state, not the worst state.
that's how I hope like people remember me as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
so I try and keep that in mind too, the perspective of what they might have, what they want us to remember them as. Yeah. Well, we're at an hour 5.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. No, these things always go so fast, dude. So
Oh.
fast. So let's complete the journey, because this has been a great conversation so far, and we've gone through kind of the beginning and you know where it all started and not being able to express yourself, and then finding some outlets and some paths and some struggles. Now you're here, you know. How let's see, how can I ask this? What's the best way to kind of give you a summary outro for this conversation of now you've processed, now you're kind of here. I guess maybe looking back. Yeah, kind of looking back. Give us the whole journey in a sense, and then and where you are now, and you know where you think maybe going forward music's gonna help you.
Damn, that's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question, and it's not the best question either. I couldn't really figure out the best way to ask it, you know. But kind of the act 3 of this whole conversation.
I gotta say, like, yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, how do you feel now about being able to express yourself? I mean, how overall do you feel like you have that capability more? You can process things better. You can talk to people. I mean, where are you now with something like that?
I mean, I've been relatively good in this, like presenting everything and so on, since I think I'd say like after I started my bachelor's, because that was like we did a lot of presentations and that helped.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, obviously, I helped myself a bit. Like before I did a presentation, I usually listen to either some of the like most smooth or like cool bravado songs, or then it's like the most aggressive.
Yeah, I was just saying Wu-Tang, man, Wu-Tang.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't remember which conversation it was when you had I can't remember the guy's name, but he was your guest, and he said like, listen to the mystery of chess boxing, and then there's the, you know, the group is like behind him.
Yeah.
And I remember I did that at one presentation. That was when I was like doing it by myself. I had no group. I remember like there was a point where I almost choked during the presentation, and then I just like that song came to my head. And I was just thinking, like, yeah, I have the Wu-Tang behind me.
Yeah.
So, like, they have swords. They look intimidating. I'm not worried. And then I just, like, skim past through it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think that if that answers the whole question.
Well,
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good. You know, and I think if you, well, I was going to say if you give advice, and then I was going to speak for you, but that's a terrible thing to do. So if there are people listening to this episode who are maybe they're back where you were, where they're struggling with people to talk to, struggling with an outlet, I mean, what would you recommend in general?
If you have people who are like, you feel like you're able to talk, whether it's parents, whether it's friends, siblings, whatever, do that. And just be like serious about it. Like if they don't instantly recognize that you're like in some sort of turmoil, just make them like understand that like we need to have like a proper sit down, not just like, hey, what's up, and I'm not doing that well, but like proper sit down and like list the things that feel bad or make you feel a certain way or something like that. And if you don't have those friends or family members to help you, the thing is, I kind of want to recommend like whether it's Discord or internet, but then again, I kind of don't, because there's a lot of trolls and people with no hearts as well. So But if you have some kind of, I don't know if like, because you play games, I play games online. If you have like some like people who played some sort of online shooter or whatever for years, and they're like actually like feel like friends, and you feel like you can vent out to them, like even try that. And if that doesn't work out and you can afford it or are able to do it, just like seek a professional. But that thing with the professionals is always that, well, especially to me, but maybe to a lot of other people as well. Like you need to have that feeling that the other person is, like, he makes you, or she makes you feel comfortable. Like you can't just vent out to the first shrink. Like I was lucky that the first shrink I saw was like, she was really nice, and I felt like she was about my age, so maybe that helped.
Yeah. I have a cousin
Yeah.
who went through some therapy, and she said it took her a couple people before she finally found someone who clicked. Like it was, and I hadn't even considered that. Like, oh yeah, you got to find the right person. I was like, oh sure. Yeah, with the online stuff, I feel like that's a great point. And I feel like sometimes there can be even more success there, because with the online stuff, there is this amount of being anonymous, and so in a way you can almost say anything, and it'll all go out there, and you can kind of dump more because you don't know the person, and because you're not like, super close, you don't interact so much.
Yeah.
There
That's a good point.
is that kind of magic of just like, hey man, can I just talk to you about this? And they'll go, sure. And
Yeah.
they got no skin in the game, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, of course, their personality is going to matter in the sense if they're going to be receptive to it or not. But there is that ability. Just the online stuff. Sometimes, man, people will just dump stuff out, and sometimes that's all it takes is just dumping it out. Whether you're typing it or you're saying it and just finally getting it out. It's crazy how that matters
That's
so
the
much.
first step. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lai from Finland. That was a fantastic conversation, man. That was fantastic.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this.
I did too. I'm glad we were able to hook up and talk about this stuff. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Do you have anything you
thanks.
want to do for closing thoughts here?
Not really, but there was one song that like we didn't have time to do. I really like. I think people have already recommended this to you, but I think you should try Griselda.
Oh yeah, that one's come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's
Oh,
come up.
great.
And that's a kind of a group, right? There's a couple people in that.
It's a group. Well, the original members are West Side Gun, Benny the Butcher, and Conway the Machine.
Okay.
Names are just
Yeah.
dull,
Yeah. Yeah.
But the problem with them is they got so many albums. They make like 3-4 albums a year.
Jesus.
Yeah, they really treat this like
Wow.
a job. So like if I can give my 2 cents on where to start, I'd either do West Side Gun's Pray for Paris or Benny the Butcher's Anatol 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll cross-reference my Excel spreadsheet and see what I have in there. I have so many albums.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh man. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. And live from Finland, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we'll see you guys next week.
Okay.